Okay, what's going on, everybody? We are here, we're live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, as usual, please make sure you hit the like button. That's the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does, that helps make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get their notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, I see you ghost watchers, you're always watching my content, my live streams, my videos, but not hitting the subscribe button, please do me a favor and yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, but definitely the most important, make sure you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. That is extremely important. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below. It'll be pinned in the comment section once this stream ends, and it's also pinned in the live chat right now. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get today's show started. Let's get it started. Let's get it going. And today we have to talk about USAID. We have to talk about USAID for a moment, and we got to talk about DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, because as of right now, the Department of Government Efficiency, which is headed by Elon Musk, has Democrats in full meltdown, because what this agency is doing, especially as it pertains to exposing all the wasteful spending within USAID, is that it's showing and proving that the DNC lunatics are the very people that they continuously warn us about, right? And this is something that I repeated over and over and over again pre-election. They are the tyrants, they are the dictators, they are the liars, and the DNC lunatics are the scammers, right? And everything was relatively peachy to a degree until we got here. Obviously, anything coming out of the Trump administration is going to get immediately hated on by Democrats. If Donald Trump comes out and says 2 + 2 = 4, Democrats will find a way to say, no, it's not. And things were just kind of business as usual in that manner until we got here to the United States Agency of International Development. Once DOGE began to audit this agency here, the amount of wasteful spending and what things were being spent on was beyond ridiculous. It is very clear, in my opinion, I believe, I assume for the censorship police out there, in my opinion, as I've analyzed things, it's very clear to me that USAID is a money laundering agency for the DNC. And the degree to which they actually spend the money on foreign aid and whatever it is that they're trying to spend money on to help people in Africa, Asia, and Latin America and the Middle East with, it seems like almost 9 out of 10 times when they are spending the money, it's pushing the what I like to call LGTV agenda overseas. And you all know what I mean when I say LGTV. Now, what I first want to do is this, right? I want to take a moment to play this quick clip from Marco Rubio, because he kind of echoes a little bit of what I'm saying right now as it pertains to the findings, right, within USAID. So let's get into that right now.
This is a 90-day freeze through which it allows us now to review programs. You know, before we did the freeze, we couldn't find out anything about some of these programs. And USAID in particular, they refuse to tell us anything. We won't tell you what the money's going to, where the money's for, who has it, which contractor it's been. You know, in some cases it goes through 4 different contractors before it reaches the intended recipient. In some cases with USAID, 10, 12, 13%, maybe less of the money was actually reaching the recipient, and the rest was going into the overhead and the bureaucracy. This isn't my money. This is taxpayer money. So we're not going to eliminate foreign aid. We're going to have foreign aid that makes sense. We're going to have foreign aid that works. We're going to have foreign aid that furthers the national interest.
I want to hear just that second half one more time. Let's just listen to this again very quickly.
to tell us anything. We won't tell you what the money's going to, where the money's for, who has it, which contractor it's been. You know, in some cases, it goes through 4 different contractors before it reaches the intended recipient.
In some cases, it goes through 4 different contractors before it reaches the intended recipient. Tell me that's not a money grab. Tell me that this isn't money laundering. Tell me that they're not pocketing the money and funneling it through, you know, their allies, not just within the U.S., but across the globe. Keep going, Mr. Rubio.
In some cases with USAID, 10, 12, 13%, maybe less of the money was actually reaching the recipient, and the rest.
In some cases, what did he say? 10 to maybe 12% of the money was actually being received by the recipient, right? The so-called aid. So where'd the other 90 some odd percent go? In my pocket. Or I shouldn't say my pocket. I wish it did go in my pocket. You know, but it went to the pocket, you know, of these DNC lunatics, and went into the pockets of these DNC lunatics. And what I want to do now, right, is that I want to take a moment to actually dive into the spending, right? Let's actually get into the spending. And I want to first start here. As it pertains to USAID, did you know that they were subsidizing? I'm talking about giving millions of dollars to media outlets that were supposed to be allegedly independent, right? And surprise, surprise, you know, these media outlets are left-leaning media outlets that they've been giving millions of dollars to. I want to play this video right here from Press Secretary Caroline Levitt, if I'm saying her last name correctly, Levitt, and listen to what she has to say right now concerning the money that they were giving to Politico, and how immediately, once this was found out, the spigot was cut off. No more money to Politico and no more money to any of these other mainstream media outlets that have been just raking in a lot of money that are coming from our tax dollars.
ID has gotten a lot of attention the last couple of days with some of these bizarre things that we've been, taxpayers have been funding. Now it looks like there are a couple media outlets that have been dragged into this conversation as far as USAID funding as well. Does the president have any comment on that?
So upon coming out here to the briefing room, I was made aware of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than $8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The DOGE team is working on canceling those payments now. Again, this is a whole of government effort to ensure that we are going line by line when it comes to the federal government's books. And this president and his team are making decisions across the board on, do these seats serve the interests of the American people? Is this a good use of the American taxpayers' money? If it is not, that funding will no longer be sent abroad, and American taxpayers will see.
Now, let's dive deeper into this. Let's take a moment to dive deeper into this, because this is wicked. Like I said, these DNC folks are horrible, horrible people. Oh, they love to point the finger and play moral police and pretend to be holier than thou, while being a bunch of thieves and demons and manipulators, right? Look at this right here, because it doesn't stop there with what Caroline was saying. Exposed the deep state's massive payroll for media puppets. Let's go through some of this money. It's not just Politico. Did you know that USAID funded 6,200 journalists and 707 news outlets in 30 different countries? It's very interesting. You've been told these are independent news sources. You have been lied to. They are owned subsidizers. Excuse me. They are owned subsidiaries of the deep state, funded with stolen tax dollars and weaponized to attack political enemies and the American people. And for those of you who don't know, this is Benny Johnson's Twitter page that I'm reading this off of. Let's dive into this money. Here are the total tax dollars subsidizing mainstream outlets in America. Politico, $34 million from various government agencies after laundering the Biden campaign laptop disinformation. New York Times, $50 million from various government sources, including a staggering $26.9 million from Health and Human Services. Why? Associated Press, $19.5 million in government contracts and $619,968 in grants from the Department of State, with funding spikes in election years 2020 and 2024. Reuters, $9 million from the Department of Defense for active social engineering defense and large-scale social deception. What? $220,000 from the Department of State just last year. BBC, British government TV steals $3.3 million from U.S. taxpayers and received an eye-popping $20 million from Bill Gates. Interesting. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff, isn't it? Now what I want to do is that I want to shift over to another video clip from Caroline Levitt once again, in which she's going to discuss some of the money that's being sent overseas, we'll say, to help shift the culture overseas, right? To help shift some of the people's culture overseas, I guess to be more like American culture, or I guess you can say more like DNC culture, right? So let's get into this very quickly, and please hit the like button if you haven't already. Check this out.
Here's the reason why Elon Musk and others have been taking a look, because if you look at the waste and abuse that has run through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government. Thank you, guys.
Now, it doesn't stop there. I want to pull up a list, going back to what she was reading off, but there is more. So let's get into that right now. And once again, this is why you see all of these Democrats. They've been holding protests. And when I say Democrat, I'm not talking about like the people, right? I'm talking about actual politicians, Ayanna Pressley, Cory Booker, and all of them. Right, they've been staging these protests in front of, I believe, the Treasury Department for about 2 days straight, just outside screaming and yelling, right? And they held a press conference today that I watched that was about 30 minutes long. I'm not going to play any of it because it's not worth listening to, but it's just them complaining over and over and over again, about Elon Musk and how Elon Musk is the true president of the United States. And what I find about that, interesting about that, before I get into this wasteful spending, is that it's clear that they've kind of shift their tactics a little bit, right? They know and understand that there's really nothing that they can say about Donald Trump to change people's minds about Donald Trump. I've been wanting to do a video about this, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But if I remember correctly, Donald Trump's approval rating as of right now is through the roof. It's through the roof. So there's nothing that you can say to him or about him that's going to change anybody's mind, because he's literally doing everything that he said he was going to do. And what these DNC lunatics are trying to do in these rallies is that they're trying to convince you that what's happening with Elon Musk and DOGE and how all this stuff is being exposed is something that we didn't vote for, when this is exactly what we voted for, right? So instead of attacking Trump, now they spend all their time attacking Elon Musk, saying that he's the leader of the shadow government, which is the puppet master behind Donald Trump. So apparently Donald Trump is not the real president of the United States. Elon Musk is, and Elon Musk has his hands up Donald Trump's back, and he's actually the one calling the shots. That's what they would all like us to believe, but we know that that's not the case. Now let's get back into some more of this wasteful spending. This right here, some of the most insane USAID spending that was recently found. $2 million for a Moroccan pottery class. Really? $2 million for a Moroccan pottery class? Sounds like money laundering to me. $2 million promoting tourism in Lebanon? That's our tax dollars going into pottery classes for people in Morocco, and $2 million promoting tourism in Lebanon. Sounds like money laundering to me. That's just me, though. Get this, $20 million for a Sesame Street show in Iraq. I'm going to repeat that one more time. $20 million for a Sesame Street show in Iraq. Are you kidding me right now? That's where this money is going to? 20 look, spending, sending Ukrainians to Paris Fashion Week. $1.5 million for DEI in Serbia, $70,000 for a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. Okay, $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala. Zoom in just a little bit more so you can read that. $2 million. We spent $2 million so that citizens of Guatemala can get their gender changed. $6 million for tourism in Egypt. Money laundering, man. Come on. $1 million to help disabled people in Tajikistan. Sounds like a worthy cause, right? But let's carry on. $1 million to help disabled people in Tajikistan become climate leaders. What does that even mean? What in the world does that even mean? $15 million, get this, for contraceptives and condoms in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. And remember what Marco Rubio told us, right? This money passes through about 3 to 4 different contractors before it actually reaches its intended, recipient. These that we're seeing here. And only about 10 to maybe 15% of that money, when you're seeing $15 million and $20 million here, $2 million there, only 15% of those dollar amounts actually go to the recipient. So then you have to ask yourself, where is this money actually going? Who's pocketing all this money, right? And if everything's on the up and up, why are all these DNC politicians going crazy the way that they are? I want to play some of this for you right now, because these DNC lunatics are losing it. This is corruption at its highest. They told us that this is who Trump was, when all actuality, they are the ones who they said Trump was. But let's get into this right now. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. And please follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group, okay? To help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below. It'll be pinned in the comment section once this stream is over, and it is currently pinned in the live chat. That way you won't miss a notification when I drop a video or go live. Let's get into this very quickly. Let's jump into what Cory Booker had to say. All the hooping and hollering and screaming that he was doing.
Fight their violation of civil service laws.
He big mad. They're all mad. Let's take it from the top.
We will fight their violation of civil service laws. We will fight their violation of civil rights laws. We will fight their violations of separation of powers. We will fight their violations of our Constitution of the United States of America. We will not shut up. We will stand up. We will speak up. We will rise up. It is time, as the African spiritual says, for us to lift every voice and condemnation of what's going on.
That came from some sort of African spiritual. I feel like that's cap. He made that up. What? what was that? A lot of times when I'm playing these videos and these guys are talking, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not paying attention. When these DNC lunatics start talking, my mind just starts like going in other places. I'm just kind of watching the timer bar. Like I can't listen to this. Let me just let this go. I'll let you guys hear it. But you know, what did he say? Let me hear this one more time.
Every voice in condemnation is up. It is time, as the African spiritual says, for us to lift every voice in condemnation of
What African spiritual? I mean, I wouldn't know, but that just sounds like a lie. Is we need to do like the African spiritual and lift every voice in condemnation? This is cap. He's lying. Oh, he's just making stuff up. This is so stupid. But the jig is up. The jig is up. The jig is up, man. Look at this right here. Give me just a second. Let me pull this video up for you guys right now. Where is this at? Okay, this is hilarious, and many of you may have seen this already. On CNN, before they got into their segment, you know, with Scott Jennings and everybody else on the panel, right? Abby Phillips and whatnot. They played a little montage of all of this hooping, hollering, screaming, and yelling. And, you know, we all know CNN is actually DNN, Democrat News Network, right? With the exception of Scott Jennings. The entire table, the whole panel that they had there, right, of DNC lunatics, once again, with the exception of Scott Jennings, I have to keep saying that, right? They all bursted out in laughter. They all bursted out in laughter because of how foolish all of this actually is. Check this out.
Democrats agree that Musk is a problem, but listen to them today, and they have a piñata in search of a stick.
To our Republican colleagues, if you do not see the light, we will bring the fire. Resist!
We are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your ass.
We have days to stop the destruction of our democracy. We have work to do. Tell Elon Musk to take his hands off your money. We don't pledge allegiance to the creepy 22-year-olds working for Elon Musk. We pledge allegiance to the United States of America.
And down the city, we are at war.
We will win. We will win. We
Doesn't this look like a, I don't know, like a South Park skit or a Boondock skit? Pick your show, either South Park or Boondocks. It could be both. This is like a goofy, I don't know, just a skit from a TV show. This doesn't seem real.
War.
We will win. We will win. We will win. We
My man had to catch his breath. Chuck Schumer, we really need term limits and age limits. Okay. My man lost his breath talking about we will win. We will win. Do you see how he's like, we will? And then he's going to switch it up. Let's watch this one more time, please. Oh my God.
win. We won't rest. We won't rest. We'll win. We won't rest. We won't rest.
One more time, just for the road. One more time for the road. Oh man, Chuck, you too old for this, man. You're too old for this. You're way too old for this. We need term limits and age limits. This is crazy.
We will win. We will win. We won't rest. We won't rest.
Gretchen.
Yes,
So,
they need the Democrats need a real leader. Okay, they need a real leader, which.
I'm not interested in what she has to say. I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is completely crazy. But they're losing it. Once again, they're losing it. And they're losing it because they've been thoroughly exposed. Thoroughly exposed. But the thing is that they have no direction. There's nowhere for them to go. They can't explain their way out of this. And most importantly, the American people, all of us, support this because this is what we voted for. This is why Trump won in a landslide victory over Kamala Harris, right? Nobody's opposed to anything that's going on here concerning stopping temporarily for the moment foreign aid, cutting back on it, and actually doing a thorough audit to find out what in the world are we actually spending this stuff on. Let me remove this off the screen for a moment because we're going to what I want to do is that I want to watch one more video of Caroline Levitt, right? Let me pull this up on the screen for you right now because she goes through it and she lets us know that 56%, the pollings are showing. The polls show that 56% of Americans, right? 56% of us, we are 100% in support of what's going on right now with DOGE and the exposing of USAID and these DNC lunatics, right? Here goes the video that I want to play for you guys right now. Okay, let's get into this. And please smash that like button for me if you haven't already.
Going through the federal government line by line and making this government more efficient is one of those priorities and one of those promises that President Trump made. And as you just cited, John, 56% of Americans support freezing foreign aid. And I read a fascinating article in the Washington.
Before we let her carry on, let me know, how do you guys feel about freezing foreign aid? Right? It said 56% of Americans agree in freezing foreign aid. I'm definitely a part of that 56%. And I'm curious to know how many of you all are, a part of that 56% as well.
Going through the federal government line by line and making this government more efficient is one of those priorities and one of those promises that President Trump made. And as you just cited, John, 56% of Americans support freezing foreign aid. And I read a fascinating article in the Washington Post today. They interviewed voters in Pennsylvania, and all of them said that they support President Trump and Elon Musk's efforts to make this government more efficient. What President Trump and Elon Musk and this entire administration is trying to do is make our bloated bureaucracy here in Washington run like a profitable business. And every agency has been tasked with going line by line and ensuring that the American taxpayers' money is aligned with the American people's interests. It's a common sense solution to fixing a decades-old problem of bloated bureaucracy, waste, fraud, and abuse. And the vast majority of Americans support it. So the Democrats can hoot and holler all they want. This White House will stay committed to delivering on President Trump's priorities and being good stewards of the hardworking American people's tax dollars. All right.
Hey, I agree with that. I second that motion, right? And in closing, I want to end this stream out with Nancy Mace. She had some things to say about everything that's going on. I just want to play a quick 45-second clip of what she had to say. You can say her opening statement to a larger, conversation that she was having, right, as far as testimonies and whatnot are concerned. But I just want to play the first 45 seconds of what she had to say.
A lot of pearl clutching over the last several days from my colleagues across the aisle on Donald Trump, Secretary Rubio, the Department of Government Efficiency's plan to reorganize the U.S. Agency for International Development, or as we all now know, USAID. They're screaming about Elon Musk over there, but hey, George Soros and his boy are okay. They scream that we're all a threat to democracy when they've been systematically dismantling democracy before our eyes. They've been caught with their hand in the cookie jar. And there's no going back. So I would tell my colleagues across the other side of the aisle, take your salty tears and sit right back down.
I'm TD and I approve of this message. And with all that being said, that does it for today's stream, man. I want to thank you all for joining me today. Please hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video out on your social media platforms. And also don't forget to follow me on Telegram and Rumble, because I'm streaming on both Telegram and Rumble, and on X at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram and Rumble and X account will be in the description box below. All right. Before we head out of here, I just want to go through the super chats. I don't exist without the support that you all show me. So I want to read some of these comments, statements, / and or questions off before we get out of here. My man Dre, I appreciate you. He said, "Big Terry energy." Big Terry energy. TD is a Russian bot powered by Chat GPT. Yeah, I don't know how many of you guys are aware of this because I haven't, said this in a while. But there's a lot of you who are new to the channel, and I just need you all to know that I'm not an actual person. TD doesn't exist in real life. I'm actually a Russian bot powered by artificial intelligence and Chat GPT created by Putin to push misinformation on YouTube in support of Trump. Right. So here I am. That's just the reality of it. If you will never see me in real life because I don't exist. Right. I'm AI. I'm not a real person. Shout out to James. James Isaacson said, Democrats are too busy finding a way to get Trump impeached from office. I need to do a video about Representative Al Green. I believe he's out of Texas, and I think he's out of Houston specifically. He's the one who was talking about submitting articles of impeachment. He said he was going to submit articles of impeachment because of Donald Trump's dastardly deeds. I'm like, what are dastardly deeds? You want to impeach Trump for dastardly deeds? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. What are dastardly deeds? That sounds crazy. That sounds like something that like you'd hear on a cartoon. Shout out to Revelator, the spirit of indifference, who said, where was all that fighting spirit when Biden and Harris were in office? Oh, yeah, it was nowhere to be found. There was no fighting spirit. They didn't have any fighting spirit because they're all crooks. They're all criminals. They're all scammers, right? They are who they say they were fighting against. Shout out to my man Benton Jr. Bay, who said the Democrats are full of money laundering the Democrats are full of money laundering and fraud. Money is going to their kickback club. That's why they are pissed. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why they're pissed off and that's why they're mad, right? All that money, they're just passing it around, in between shell companies and their allies here in the States and overseas. Everybody's getting rich off of that USAID money. And I think last year, the USAID had allocated it's on the Wikipedia page somewhere around $50 billion in total. So $50 billion passed through that agency. $50 billion of our tax dollars passed through that agency. And then was just getting dispersed and making everybody rich except for us, right? Shout out to Revelator who ran it back one more time. He said, you can see that Jennings is amused. Oh, yeah, Scott Jennings was thoroughly amused by the clown show that the DNC has been putting on and putting forward. So with all that, man, I want to thank you guys for joining me today, all right? Once again, as usual, hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms. And please follow me on Telegram. Telegram. It is extremely important you follow me on Telegram to circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. I will catch you guys tomorrow. Peace and have a great afternoon.